I'm pumped and excited today to tell you that there are only 2 months left. Wow, I can't believe it. Well, hello everybody. David Burns, good to be with you today. Thanks so much for joining me here on my beekeeping channel. Always glad to be with you. Yeah, we're only 2 months away. 2 months left is one way to look at it. And what am I talking about? Well, there's only 2 months left of winter. That's right, in 2 months, depending on how you look at it, but in 2 months, it'll be the first day of spring. And I'm pretty pumped, well, a little bit more than 2 months, but approximately 2 months. And I'm pumped and excited to think that, wow, the bee season is going to be through winter and we're going to be approaching warmer temperatures and spring in just 2 months. Now, that's not the case for us here in Illinois. We really don't warm up really nicely until probably deep into April, maybe even sometimes into May. I've seen it snow here in Illinois, central Illinois, even in the first week of May. So March, I've seen some real heavy snows in March. So for me in Illinois, okay, it may be spring, but it doesn't look like it or feel like it usually outside. We'll have a few warm-up days. So what does this mean when I say there's only 2 months left? Well, this is one of the most critical times of beekeeping. And we only have 2 months left to make it through the most critical time when your bees have the most potential to die, to perish. And I'm really concerned about that. A lot of beekeepers start, sensing warm weather, usually in February. You'll start having some nice warm-up days. March brings a lot of warm-up days. And I know some of you live in the South where it's already warm. Your bees are already bringing pollen in. I know, even in January. But that's not the case for most of us in the central and northern U.S. But I really think that we need to be concerned about not jumping the gun just yet to think we're out of the woods. And one of the things that I speak on when I go to conferences, and I'm speaking at 3 conferences next month. 2 are in Wisconsin, and then 1 is in the state conference in Nevada. So I love when I talk to somewhere in my talk about bees surviving the winter. And by the way, Sherry loves this pink shirt. I call it a pink shirt. She calls it salmon. And she said, "You look good in your salmon shirt." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know. I don't think I do." And she's like, "Oh no, please wear it." So, in honor and love of my wife, I'm wearing my pink shirt. All right. So my concern about bees surviving the winter is that some beekeepers, how do they determine if their bees survive the winter? They go out and look, and if there's any bees at all in there, ta-da, we've survived the winter. My concern is that there's a big difference in surviving and thriving. I want you to just think about that for a minute. It does me no good if I have a little colony barely make it through winter and they're barely surviving, maybe less than 10,000 bees. For me personally, it doesn't help me. I'll spend the rest of that year trying to get that colony ready for the next winter. So yeah, they survived, but they were smaller than a package of bees. So you're starting all over again when you start with something that small. So for me personally, and a lot of people don't understand my philosophy of beekeeping, but I get pumped and excited because my philosophy of beekeeping is I want my bees to come out of winter thriving. That's right. That way I can make some splits. I can start raising queens early. I can start making more honey early. It's just so many things happen that it's so great when bees come out thriving. So the next 2 months, we only have 2 months left and we're biting our nails because the next 2 months, really, this isn't just clickbait or anything. It is the most critical time for beekeeping. Most colonies die in the months in February and March, late winter. And the reason that is I'm going to try to grab a lot of things out of my mind. But number one, there's probably a virus load that is continuing to have a sublethal effect on bees dying and just dying more and more from viruses. and all at once they're all gone. You don't see many bees in there. Where'd they go? Well, as they continue to die, they get carried out. Some would fly out and die, and there's just not many bees left. So viruses caused by the Varroa destructor mite. That's one reason that we see a lot of populations drop down in, late winter, mid to late winter. And when the population drops down, that means you're losing the heaters. All right. The bees heat the colony, keep it warm, and they always the queen likes to lay a little bit more as we get more daylight, longer days, and a little bit more not so harsh cold winter weather anymore. The queen will start laying a little bit. But if you've already lost a large amount of your population, then they cannibalize whatever eggs she lays, or maybe the larvae. They'll cannibalize that because they're hungry. They need to make heat. They just can't make heat. And so there's probably chilled brood. That's when the brood gets so cold that it dies and the bees eat it. So, we have these kind of things that we're dealing with. And of course, mid to late winter, bees are running out of food. And this is really paramount for all beekeepers to be on a red alert to start figuring out, if you're not feeding your bees now, please take my advice. I'm a certified master beekeeper for how many years? I was certified in 2010. Yeah. Wow. Where'd the time go? I've been certified as a master beekeeper with Eastern Apicultural Society for 15 years. And I've been around the block, and I'll tell you, to be honest with you, please feed your bees in the wintertime. They need something. I know you're probably saying, well, I got honey. I don't believe in feeding bees. I understand that. And I spent a long time not helping my bees in the wintertime, not feeding them. And they didn't do very good. They didn't do as well as when they do when I feed them. And as you can see here, feeding my bees in the wintertime, man, they stay warm because we get warm when we eat. And bees do too. They can warm up. They can turn that carbohydrate into heat and keep running those muscles, those wing muscles, thoracic muscles. And it just helps the bees make more heat if they can eat. Eat, get it? So we only have 2 months left to keep our bees alive to make it through winter. So this is the most critical time. All right. So what are the things can you do right now? Some of you, I know, a lot of you watch my live streams on Thursday night. Every Thursday I'm on live with you guys, with the Beak Squad members. And I love my live stream time with you guys. It's a time to answer your questions. And a lot of you always are asking me, telling me you're really worried about your bees now. And you're thinking, oh, David, what do I do? What more can I do? There's not a lot you can do in the winter. I was talking with my good friend, Kathy Misko from Missouri. Some of you probably know Kathy. She's an EAS certified master beekeeper and really good with bees. And she is, what do you call, I don't know if she's a natural beekeeper or chemical free. I'm not sure which terminology she likes, but she doesn't use chemicals unless I think she has to, which I don't think she does. She has a lot of colonies. They do really good. She sent me a jar of honey this year. So her bees did really good without treatment. Anyway, so Kathy writes a newsletter for her club and beekeepers in her area. She sent one to me a couple of days ago. I liked it. She had a section in there where she was quoting Mark Winston referring to his book. I love his book. Sherry and I use his book a lot to get information on bees. Mark Winston. Maybe I'll try to leave I don't know if I can leave a link or something, but you can Google it. And then she referred me to another Harbo study that was done years ago about the temperature when you expose bees to cooler temperatures. And I was really shocked that, it's one of the studies showed that if bees are exposed to temperatures, I don't know. Let's say, I think it was 29 degrees Celsius. If an egg is exposed less than 29 degrees Celsius, and what is that, 86 degrees, 84? I can't do the math, but it's around 84, 5 or 6, but, Fahrenheit, that egg will die. It won't hatch, I should say. It won't hatch. So, these cooler temperatures, and then when it warms up in the next 2 months, we will be tempted to go out there and work our hives. And you really need to understand that you can be damaging brood. And it can get, when bees come out of winter, sometimes they're limping along anyway. Like I said, they have maybe virus loads. They may be short on food. And if they aren't short on food, they're using all that food because the queen's laying more eggs. They need to get things ramped up and going. And if you go out there and expose the brood to a real less than perfect temperature, then it can really it can chill the brood. It can damage the brood. And what that means is you might think, well, that's no big deal. If I lose a little brood. No, you can lose frames. So you might have 2 or 3 frames of brood. That's equal to thousands of bees in your future. But if you inspect too early, you can kill them and lose thousands of future bees that you need, because the bees that are in your hive now, they're going to be dying off really quickly in the next 2 months. So you need more bees. You need your queen to be laying. My point is, if you feed your bees now, they're going to be able to utilize that food and actually start producing brood. Now, to have good brood, they need warm temperature. Here's what people don't understand. A lot of people think that, unless it gets, above 90 degrees in the daytime or at night, they're not going to raise any brood. That's not true. We're talking about the temperature inside the hive. In my case, since I'm feeding my bees, my winter bee kinds, all winter long, and they're eating that food and metabolizing it into heat, they keep their hive very warm. And if the hive on the inside is warm, they can raise a lot of brood, and they do. And so be thinking about these next 2 months. Also, for those of you that are new to beekeeping, either you're brand new last year or you're starting next year, this year, I guess now. I guess if you're starting in 2026 or in the spring, you need to realize too that these 2 months now, it's the time for you to get ready. All right. Buy your smoker, buy your hive tool, buy your suits, buy your gloves, buy your equipment. Please buy your beekeeping hives, your equipment, before you get your bees. I just enlightened somebody. I was like, I thought I could get my bees and then look around for a hive. No, you need to have your woodenware, the hives first, and when you buy your bees, you'll have someplace to put them. Okay? That sounds like it ought to be known to all people, but occasionally there are people that, I don't know, for some reason, they just get their bees before they get hives. So don't do it that way. Then your bees can't live too long. We sell packages and nukes, and bees can't live long in a package, about a week, and they're just going to be toast. So you need to get your package and install your bees as soon as you can. I've got a lot of videos, by the way. You can search me on YouTube, David Burns Installing a Package, if you're new. And also we sell nucleuses. Again, a 5-frame nuke can't live in a nuke box forever either. Oh man, every year I'm hanging on to nuke boxes, waiting for customers to pick them up. And inevitably, some customers have a little scheduling issue. I get it. Me too. We're all that way. I understand it. What scares me is, it really does scare me, is that some people can't pick up their nucleus when I have it ready until maybe a week or 2 later. Well, by then, I make them good where they're ready to swarm almost. Well, if you wait 2 weeks on me, I'm tearing out swarm cells, waiting for a customer to pick them up. So these 2 weeks, what I'm getting at, you need to get everything ready. Think through things, think through. If you're picking up your packages, make sure you clear your schedule. Picking up nukes, get your schedule clean so you can come and get your bees. If you're buying equipment, if you've been putting off buying your woodenware and all the equipment and everything, been putting that off a little bit, or you're not familiar with it. Take the next 2 months if you're new to really get familiar with your boxes, work your bees, or work your hives, not your bees, but work your hives with your hive tool empty so you can get an idea how it feels and on all that. Now, one more thing. For those of you that are like me and you've kept bees for 1,000,000 years and you still love it and you're overwintering coming out of winter, I still have a lot of frames that I need to punch the old comb out and put new foundation in. So I've got 2 months, 60 days. That doesn't sound like long at all, does it? A little bit more, but 2 months. And I'm going to see if Christian can help me too, but we're going to knock out a lot of the old black comb that's been in there too long, put new foundation in my wooden frames, clean up the wooden frames. Now this is what it looks like. I did this last year, and just scrape off the propolis and the weird, comb that gets built on frames. It's easier. I had such a good time this year working my bees because I'd cleaned up so many of my frames and I put new comb and everything. And it was just so much easier. I cleaned up the boxes on the inside. Rails were better where frames hang and everything. So that was a lot of fun. So those of you that are experienced beekeepers, don't put off, because it always sneaks up on me, but don't let it sneak up on you. Spend the next couple of months. You only got 2 months left. Spend a couple of months getting all your equipment shored up, kind of get things ready. Maybe it's time to throw that bee suit in the washer and wash it up good. Maybe it's time to take your hive tools, soak them in some alcohol, clean those up. Just get things tidied up a little bit. Find things that, you may have misplaced, and you don't want to be looking around for your hive tools and all when spring finally gets here. All right, so you got 2 months left. I'm looking forward to all the things that I've got to do in the next 2 months. Wow. And on top of that, speaking at a lot of places during that time as well. But it's fun. I hope to see some of you out in the state of Nevada. Here's a link to the conference if you want to join me in Nevada. And I love speaking out there. That'd be my 3rd time speaking at the Nevada State Beekeeping Conference out there. I believe Bob Beanie is going to be speaking there. My friend, Dr. John Zavishlock, be there. Dr. David Tarpey, he's speaking there. I mean, they bring us all in, and it's a lot of fun. Also, I'm going to be speaking at the Midwest Honeybee Expo. Here's a link to that. A lot of good speakers will be there too in February. And check that out if you want to come to that. I think it's the largest conference in the Midwest. I think that's what they claim. I'll also be speaking at Beak Meet, and that's going to be a fun conference in February. I'll be back in Wisconsin then, speaking there, and a lot of YouTube creators and beekeeping will be there too. So you might want to join all of us in Wisconsin and a bunch of us in Nevada in February. So mark your calendars for that. Now, I just made a video that might really be helpful for you guys on terminology, especially those of you that are new. When you're new to beekeeping, you just don't understand all the language and nomenclature that we use in beekeeping. Well, I made a video. It's going to help you guys out. Check it out right here. I'll see you over there.